Call the meeting to order. Good evening. So tonight we have the Department of Public Works in to talk about the Department of Public Works budget plus the enterprise fund budgets. So John, we're ready to listen. And in your budget books, the DPW is starts on page 153, and then the enterprise funds are on 207, in case you want to call those out. Okay, welcome. So if you could take a moment to introduce yourself, just and your background a little bit for anybody watching at home. I'm sure we're the most watched political event of the night in the country tonight.
All eyes are on you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening. John Bergese. I'm the interim DPW director, currently here in North Andover. The proposed DPW budget, Bruce Thibodeau, the former director, and myself kind of worked together to develop the budget. The budget mimics really the FY 2017 budget with only slight increases. We did propose to raise the snow budget a little bit, recognizing we are trying to, Bruce had been working with the town manager, trying to get that, I think, closer to the $1 million mark. We're currently at about 800,000, a little bit over, I think.
Right, and this year we budgeted 934.
So we budgeted 934. That was the goal, I think, again, Bruce and the town manager have been working towards trying to get to the $1 million mark for that. But besides the snow budget, I think a majority of the other resources kind of remained the same or only had a slight increase. Again, trying to mimic the 2017, because overall, I think Bruce indicated we were good budget, had good amount of resources at the end of the year, weren't finding any shortfalls. So.
The only main increases were contractual increases on the various different contracts we had for dumping fees, things like that, and then salary increases for union contracts and the annual COLA that's given to non-union employees. Overall, his budget really in all went up 1.8% over FY17. So, and that includes the 2.4%, the 4.9% increase in snow and ice. Some of the other ones went down, snow and ice went up. So they managed the budget very well.
So with regards to the DPW budget, I didn't have a lot planned, obviously, but if you have any questions that we can answer regarding that, or I can, again, the water and sewer enterprise was also similar to the DPW budget, where we tried to mimic 2017's,
At the increase in the snow removal costs, or projected? Or is it just a little here, a little there?
Little here, little there.
Yeah, we kind of
move things around.
Moved things around, pulled it out at different places.
I think they looked at the FY17 budget, looked at where they were year to date, determined what they needed for the balance of the year, because each year they move money around between line items as they needed. And I believe Bruce decided that there were certain things that, he didn't need. And he shifted it into other places. And basically, most of it got shifted into the snow and ice. Yep.
Looking at this thing, consolidated way would be the best way to look at it, because I noticed, for example, in the recycling budget, contracted services went down $29,000.
Because the contract went down.
But the vehicle maintenance budget went up 14.5 for contracted services,
Right.
So I see what you mean by shifting it around.
Yep, exactly.
Can you help me with, I'm looking at the streets and sidewalk budget. The
Streets and sidewalks, yep.
There's a line item that says other charges and expenses. It was 40,000. It was 32,000. Now going up to 40,000, and that's a $7,600 increase, which is about 23.8%. What is that?
Short of actually looking in the system and pulling up that line item, I wouldn't know off the top of my head.
believe, strictly because I was discussing this with Bruce the other day, I know a portion of this goes towards the work that we do with Stevie's Pond annually. We have an annual contract at
cleaning,
Stevie's
yeah.
Pond for the cleaning, the weeds and that type of, and the treatment for Stevie's Pond to make sure beginning of the year. I know only because I got the contract in, and Bruce indicated to me that that's where a portion of the money, that's where he had set that aside. Yep, in the other charges and expenses.
This is more like fiscal year 17 question. Looks like the salary reserve for the streets and sidewalks wasn't used or not needed. Tell me something about that. It's just,
When these budgets were done, because these books are done, the tables and stuff are done like in December, November timeframe. It just hasn't been moved up to the salary line. Yep. Because if you look it basically, it's a cleanup I usually do at the end of the year to move everything into, because we don't necessarily need all of it. Yep.
It looks as if the salaries, the percentage, I mean, some of the departments, I mean, just looking at it, the biggest increase is in the salary line and not so much in the other lines. Am I correct on that?
There's a union contractual agreements, step increases, things like that.
For instance, with the streets and sidewalks, we've got 10, a head count of 10, and most of them are union then.
Correct.
Okay, we're looking, all of them are union. Okay, so what we're looking at in that salary increase line on each one of these things is a union step contract, and that's it. All right, so that isn't exactly controllable in the way that buying cheaper salt is. Okay, so there are things that we can control, and there are things that we can. So a lot of the belt tightening has gone on in the, I'm going to say, the materials and supplies for belt tightening, because that's only a 2.5% increase overall. And that.
Overall, in the salaries is a 2.7.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, fine.
Basically, every union contract was negotiated at a 2% increase. And then, of course, you got people that go steps. They might be at, a 2 or a 3, and then might go up to a 4 or a 5, and so on, then get up to max. But across the board, no one is getting any more than a 2% increase other than the regular step increases, so, which was negotiated.
I should know, when is this union contract? Is it, are we up, is that one up for negotiation?
They're all on different timelines. They go for a 3-year period. I don't think I have the statistics in the back on that, but that's a good thing that now that you mention it, would be to add to the statistics of the budget book so that everyone knows what the contract period is and when it expires and all the,
Yeah.
which I can do that moving forward.
yeah.
Yeah. But there aren't any contracts, I think they still go until 2018, but we have the police and the fire, I think, that will be up.
Police and fire is
I
up?
think so, will be.
Will be up.
Yep, I believe so, yep.
It's interesting.
Yeah, which they'll have to renegotiate for 3 years.
Yeah, we would hope that we could see a little flexibility somewhere. Okay.
I have a question. What do you mean by advertising? What kind of expense do you incur on advertising?
So that's actually, I believe it's a public advertisement. So we do, depending on what it is, we're required to do some public informational stuff. I think we send them out with the water bills or I think it's with the water bills. So informational sheets that are kind of required by DEP, whether it's stormwater. There are certain ones that we're required to, do public notifications every year. So that gets billed to the advertising. We kind of...
Public notices.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. But we kind of, they're a little more fancy than just a piece of paper, so we kind of make them look a little better, is what we do. So that's why it goes under the advertising.
have you ever thought of basically raising funds and covering that instead of billing it to the state budget, getting private
The-
sponsorships?
We could, but the only, I guess with it being mandated by the state that we have to do these public notifications each year, I'm not really sure the fundraising would
Feasible for that.
be available, or, people would be willing to fund when it's mandated by the state, so we have to do it. So I would think people would look at it as, okay, you have to do this, so why are you fundraising for it? It's required, so something we should just include. Sure.
There's overtime. I realize that snow and ice is done on a contractual basis. So my question was, who is doing the overtime on this line item? Is it a town employee, or is it a contractor?
I believe the overtime is a town.
It's a town.
Town employee.
Town employee.
Yep.
And then basically under the union.
Correct. Yep.
Again.
Follows that contract.
Okay, so
Yep,
that's-
for overtime.
Okay, because that's just is it gone up from 89,000 to 95,000, so if we,
Right, because I think they prefer to use our staff to do the plowing if we, for
Right.
the smaller storms, it's less expensive for us.
I
They just call
see.
in a contractor
Yeah.
to do it. So
I
that's why
see.
we have that ability.
you have that ability,
Yeah,
okay.
once we, which I've learned with the past storms, so kind of, we kind of have that threshold where if the existing guys can't, meaning the DPW guys can't keep up with the storm, we have to call all the contractors in. So we got to call them all, because you can't pick and choose. We just have them under contract, so everything comes in. So that's where, it's over 100 pieces of equipment at that point.
And
That's
that-
out plowing.
Then that's when you have the GPSs in all of the.
Correct. Yep.
The trucks for the contractors, so
Yep.
we can see what.
Exactly,
yeah,
the
right.
field force. Yep.
Fantastic, okay.
And then I had a question. I note on page 155 that you're working on the engineering department and being able to bring more sort of capacity in-house. So could you talk a little bit about that change and maybe direct us to where we can see that in the line items for, it's the last bullet on page 155.
So I can definitely talk to us bringing more capabilities in-house as to where Bruce had that, meaning depicted on
Yeah, let me see
the
what he
budget. So bringing the services in-house, so with the hiring of, me taking over for Gene Willis, who retired, and also my staff engineer, Curtis Johnson, who's a registered land surveyor, we're actually able to support internal projects a little better. Myself on the engineering side, being able to do some stuff in-house as a registered engineer, and also Curtis as a registered surveyor. So, for instance, I helped develop a couple of conceptual parking layout designs for the town manager versus having to use a consultant. I was able to do that utilizing what we have, meaning AutoCAD and computer programs here. I did talk to Bruce and the town manager about upgrading those, because they are a little bit outdated. But in the same token, myself and Curtis Johnson were assisting like the planning department, again, with kind of helping them develop a base map for like a trails that they're looking to upgrade, where normally they'd have to go out to a consultant, but we could do that in-house.
We might not see it in the DPW budget, but it's sprinkled throughout
Yeah.
the whole
So I
budget.
guess it's probably with the hiring of the consultants more, where we want to be hiring the consultants. Also, some permitting, I've assisted with some permitting for like wetlands, and also the drainage out at Sutton Street, doing the Mass DOT permit for that, where normally you'd have to go to a consultant to prepare those permits and submit them. So that's kind of the savings in-house, so.
What kind of wetland software do you use for that?
So we have a couple of different things, mapping software. So currently what we have is a GIS system, Geographic Information System. Yeah,
By S3?
Yes, exactly. So we have, ArcMap 10 point.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what we currently use for all our GIS. We do have our consultants update, meaning the different infrastructures. They're updating like the drainage utilities, because what we've realized is that a lot of it, well, not a lot of it, I shouldn't say that. There's sections that haven't gotten into the GIS. I think they've been working at it throughout the years. So we're kind of continuing with that to try and get it as accurate as we can. Same thing along with new subdivisions and stuff that come in. My staff engineer understands GIS, so he's able to put that stuff in as that comes in. So then we use AutoCAD more for a design mapping.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's with what we use on the kind of the engineering side. GIS helps us track utilities, drain, sewer, properties, ties in with the address,
And compare
addresses.
the growth or the developments over a
Exactly.
period of time.
Yep, yep. So, and over time, the goal is to, we do have the MyMap software, or MapGeo, excuse me, that's available to the public, where they can use it to, will be available, I think it is, or MyMap is currently, where they can look up their properties. So, long-term, having the GIS it's kind of unlimited what we can tie into this. It's a huge database that we can use to track all kinds of stuff throughout the town. Obviously, we use it primarily for our infrastructure, but the capacity to help locate actually fire hydrants. In my previous job, the water department would use it to locate the fire hydrant when it's buried under a snowbank, because you could actually take an iPad, have the GIS on it, and it's plus or minus 10 feet, but
Yes.
you can say, you're out there with an iPad, you're standing there, and it depicts a hydrant, and it's 10 feet in that snowbank, so we can get digging, and you can locate the hydrants. So it's very valuable. So.
So do you train your staff on GIS, S3, or do you hire consultants to work on it?
Yep, so we do both. So again, I have my staff engineer, Curtis Johnson, who was trained before I started here in GIS. He's taken a couple classes on GIS, so he knows how to use it. I kind of self-taught myself over my career, so I know how to use it. And then where we need assistance, Chris McClure with IT works with, I think she works for MapGeo, Priya, who also has GIS and database experience, almost like a consultant. So if it's a task where, again, because we're kind of pulled in different directions, Curtis can address it. Sometimes we'll reach out to the consultant, or, tell Chris, we can't do this in-house, we just don't have the time. So he'll reach out, and then we do work together typically with the consultant to try and make sure everything gets integrated. So,
Thank you.
sure.
Do we have anything else on the DPW budget, or should we let the? Sure.
Two goals.
Yeah.
You go first.
So we're gonna get a new building.
Yes,
And,
administration building.
First of all, I'm just wondering how this is going, so.
Sure. It's actually it's going pretty well. So they got the foundation in. They actually got the elevator shaft mortared up, and you can actually see it if you drove by. It's a big elevator shaft. I just got the update today. They were having the steel basically manufactured, and it's supposed to show up, I believe, on Monday, is what I was told, in which case then you'll actually start to see the main structure go up once the steel is on site. So they're kind of in a waiting pattern, waiting for the steel to be delivered. But then once that gets delivered, then they'll start erecting the exterior structure, and it'll start to look like a building. So it is moving along. I think it's November of this year, is what the date I was told, pending, there shouldn't be any major catastrophes. I mean, like I said, foundation's there, and hopefully the structure, shouldn't be any issues. Once the steel goes up, then we just start building around it. So, but that's what I had heard.
Also, evaluation done of the impact on the operational cost going forward? Do we have a, I'm sure it's a better building, maybe less heating, I don't know, if electricity,
So what I've been told from Steve Foster, who was kind of leading the facilities, is that obviously it's a new structure and kind of like the town hall, what they've done here, similar with, the heating, the cooling, lighting, it's all supposed to be, low cost, new mechanical systems, all that stuff in the administration building. So he actually, I think he had indicated it's kind of like they have different levels, like gold, silver. It's kind of a silver level. It would achieve if we were looking for that.
Are these operational costs in DPW? So is that in the facility?
Yes, yeah. So it's in the buildings, I think.
Difficult to point where these.
And to actually be able to quantify it now without the structure up, and, we still have the existing structure and facility that, I think what I've been told is kind of phase 2 of it would be to, okay, we're going to get the new administration building up and going, and then look at what we can do to improve the existing facility. Because again, the mechanicals, HVAC, all that stuff could probably be looked at, and work could be done to improve it, especially efficiency-wise.
So now we're going to have 2 buildings? I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay.
They're connected.
Yeah. So they're
Extension
connected.
of,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So it's, the administration moves to the front. We still have all the DPW bays and all that stuff. That's what I'm talking about, looking at kind of in phase 2, how we could make that more efficient. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, right.
No, for the 2018 goals, you mentioned 10 roads. At this point, have the 10 been designated, like which roads are going to be paved?
They are, and I don't have the list with me.
Is it part of the CIP?
They're in the CIP.
Okay, so this covers both, that's what I'm saying. Okay.
Yep.
That's
It's the
fine.
same, I think it's.
No, it's blending both. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I have a question related to that. How do you make an assessment? Based on age or based on actual inspection of the streets?
Both. So what, and there's actually a really good program that was set up before I started here. So we have a program, Pavement Manager it's called. Again, we hired a consultant to develop the program and actually do the assessment out on the roadway. So they went out, they have all the streets identified, they went out, did an assessment, which we have updated every 4 to 5 years. We have an assessment, update the assessment of the roads, and then they score each road, with 100 being the best, right done. Yep. So then, based on that, we use that each year based on the funding we have to see what roads. We kind of use, I think Bruce had said, I think it's like 50. When they start to drop below 50, then we kind of, okay, we need to look at doing this within the next couple of years. And then we use both a combination of some town funds and also the Chapter 90 funds, which are from the state, to do all the road work each year. He says it ends up being, I think we do an average of like 8 to 10 roads is what we're able to do with the funding that we have available each year.
Your scaling process or something that we can see, not now, maybe later?
Sure. Yep. It's a whole database, so I can print out, I can print out a section, or I could print out all the streets if you'd like, and how it goes.
Just the indicators, what criteria you.
Oh, sure. Yep. The criteria that they use. Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Water, let's go to the water department on page 205. Yeah, 205 is the start, and then.
As I indicated, I believe for water and sewer, we kind of tried to mimic FY 2017 with only slight increases. Is this one?
These aren't the right budgets in
Okay. Oh,
here. Yeah.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I can see on the water enterprise fund is that the dollar change is a little bit, I guess there was maybe a few kind of light years, and then it looks like the dollar change in salary is 96,000 for 2018, if I'm reading it right.
I don't see 2018 actually. I think you moved one column to the left. There's 2014 actual.
What I'm saying is, do you have 18 in your budget?
No, I don't. No.
Okay, let me go print them. Sorry. I don't know, I can't believe nobody else caught that. Yeah,
Sewer, both
same
water
way,
and sewer.
yeah.
Yeah.
There is charts in here that would have the full budgets, though. Is not the right.
18 has, and it has 14. Yep, staff, everything.
Let's talk about goals. Okay.
Yeah.
John, last year's goal, number one bullet said, update and replace the process control computer system that runs the drinking water plant by June of 2017.
Yes.
Now, me being not much of a understanding, a mechanical person relative to drinking water plants, but I do know something about computers, I guess. I would assume that that's probably a pretty important piece to upgrade for the drinking water plant. I mean, the two go hand in hand.
Yep.
Was it done?
It's currently being done. So that's the SCADA system upgrade, which basically, is all the ins and outs, the controls, electronic controls, notifications, reporting, all of that combined in one. I believe environmental partners, they went out to bid, they received the bid, and they're currently working on the upgrades to the SCADA system. I think with the goal to have them completed by June. I know we got kind of a late start on there. I think it was a combination of both consultant and ourselves, but I know they're currently working on that. Yep.
That's the only thing we really have to go by. I'm going to ask, any delays in replacing of the ozone system or replacing aging chemical tanks? Because it just seems like it's the repeat of goals from last year for fiscal 17, and now we see them being
I
goals
think
for
it's
the
because
future.
they're still ongoing. Because
Continuing project.
yeah, I know I just approved for the ozone system. The request, I think, for the consultant that just came across my desk, across Munis, within the last couple of days on I apologize, I don't know what phase of the ozone system. I think they're going into design on the ozone system with the goal, I think what Bruce had explained, the ozone system was kind of the last system that needed to be upgraded in the treatment plant. The SCADA system, they were going to focus on this current year, ozone start design, and hopefully construction and everything be done, I believe, next year, although I'm not positive, but I think that's what the goal was. I'm not sure what other goals we had there, but...
I'm not trying to trick you.
No, that's okay.
Do we flush all public hydrants every year?
We flush a portion of them. So I don't believe you have, I want to say it's 3, they give you 3 years to get your entire system, distribution system flushed. It's over, I think it's a 3-year period.
3-year cycle.
Yeah. So we work in sections throughout the town on the flushing, and that's the operations manager keeps records of which ones have been flushed, and then we report that information back to DEP.
You may want to just change that bullet to, because it says all.
Does it say all? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's because I don't believe we can get to all of them in 1 year, so I will. Oh, and I wonder, I bet you I know what it is. I wonder if they're coming to the end of the 3-year cycle.
I said the same thing last year, too.
Did you?
Yeah.
And I'm sure they just copied it from last year, so we will make that change.
Just take last year's Word document.
Was there already a decision on the rates? Are the water rates staying the same?
Yeah. I know we did not propose any increases to the water sewer rates.
In the town manager's budget, no projected increase.
No projected increase. Yep.
Can you in your goal add a little technology, auto deposit for the water bills?
Well, that may be coming. I know with regards to like permitting, we're looking at like building, offering to the public be able to pay automatic. So I can't imagine, I know.
I'm
building-
always late, I pay penalties.
No, I have to go online, right?
Yeah.
I just auto charge my
Yeah,
credit card.
exactly.
Right, right. So I know they are kind of looking at, being able to pay automatic. They're starting with permitting, so I think once that kind of gets set up and they kind of get through all the bugs, I'm sure we're
Work
hopefully
through
going to
that.
get
Yeah,
on
because your
board.
auto excise is now automatic.
Yeah, it is.
So that
Yeah, and they're
also,
using that as kind of the
Yeah, so they have the
basics. So we
technology.
just haven't.
Just
we're
add one
slow-
department.
We're
anything you can
slowly.
do to move that along would be.
Yeah,
I will-
in your goals.
I will see what I can do.
Thank you.
This is set. Set, okay?
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, gosh. It's great you could just go print it.
I know, it's nice, the system.
Yeah, the system is finally,
Unfortunately, you can't take these reports and cut and paste them in here, so you have to use
Yeah, it's
Excel.
okay.
And that's where,
no, the fact that they just come out so nice and clean.
So you're gonna have to take these spiral binders thingies out of here and replace them?
No, we're just gonna.
No, I mean,
They will.
I'll give you new pages for the book.
Final.
okay, well, how do you, okay.
Nope.
Okay. So then on salary, it's a 2.6% increase, which is right in line.
Yep.
Um,
And a 1.7 on sewer, so.
Right.
So we have tiny changes.
Well, now the expenses are
Tiny.
actually increasing quite a bit.
Yeah, it's basically one
There's a trend.
line item.
Electric.
Right, that $1.2 million transfer is in the capital projects, that we're taking it from retained earnings.
Okay.
To help fund the capital projects, that's why you see the big
okay.
increase on one.
That makes sense.
Yep, if you back that out, you're not gonna have that big increase.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so any more questions? Why don't we look at the water first and then the sewer? Anything else on water?
How's the water level? Is it back to normal?
Not yet. They have gotten better. I just spoke to the superintendent, and while the water level in the lake has raised a foot, which is good, he said we're still kind of in a drought, still 2 feet below where we typically are at this time of year. So it's getting better. We're still not back where we'd like to see it. So it would help with more rain. Not more snow, more rain.
yes,
I like the rain. I am all for rain.
I mean, what would happen if there's a severe drought and the water level goes until, is there a minimum level where you said, okay, now we can't really pump any water out of there anymore? Or?
So there is, what Bruce had indicated to me is there is a plan that's set up, and depending on which levels you hit is how we institute, like, last summer we had the recommended, water ban, wasn't a mandatory, but then the next level is you kind of go to a mandatory water ban, it was volunteer last year. If necessary, you kind of go to a mandatory, no excess use, no watering of any, grasses or whatnot. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't looked at the plan, but I don't know what's after that. But I know he said it's kind of all spelled out in the plan on what we would have to do, depending on if it got into a severe drought situation.
Ever North Andover in a situation where we had to bring in water?
Not that I've been told of, and I think I asked the
Yeah, I've been here 16 years. I've never
superintendent about that, and I don't think we've ever had to reach out to like a surrounding community for water, for assistance with water. So, you know, I know we have come close, you know, meaning with drought, kind of like what we did with the, you know, voluntary last summer. I know I think the operations manager or the superintendent indicated that's happened once or twice before. It has happened in the past at that level, but we've never kind of had to make the jump to any of the others, which hopefully it stays that way.
Bring in water, like everybody else, I mean, it's going to be expensive, I guess, you know?
Where would you get it? If we're in the drought that bad, everybody else has got to be too.
Yeah,
Right.
So, what do you do?
it's a big ocean, but well, I'm sure we're going to get, well, I'm sure that
Hopefully
can be
not
built
in our
quick.
lifetime, so.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
I know, you
No.
don't, you're right.
Okay, the sewer budget. 1.7% on the salaries. And then 0.7% on operating. Okay.
Are we expanding the sewer network at all?
No, not
And-
that I've been told. We have no indication that we're looking to expand it. More so because, you know, it would mean we'd have to increase the water and sewer rates if we look at an expansion project. So, and I think at this time, we're not in a point where we're looking to do that.
So any new development? Would they tap into?
125, so wouldn't they need sewer?
So is this you're talking about Osgood Street? The
Yeah.
1210? Yeah, so they're actually able to pump up into our existing sewer system. So they're right on the cusp because it's on the hill line, so they proposed a pump station that's going to pump up into an existing manhole we kind of have at the crest, and then it's gravity there down to Ray's Pond, the Ray's pump station that we just redid. So that's how that one.
Things that actually are helpful in the maintenance and being proactive, if the word's there as well, and I hate to throw back fiscal year 17 goals,
Okay.
but it's, the bullet is develop and implement a proactive mainline inspection program, including routine jet cleaning of problematic areas by October of 2016. I like when we have proactive plans.
Sure.
It stays ahead of the game.
Yep.
Any update on that?
So I do know a couple areas where we knew there was repeated having to go back and do the jetting. It was on Commonwealth Ave, which we replaced the whole section. I want to say it was from the 1900s, 1930s or so. That was one of the oldest areas we had for sewer, where we just got repeated backups. It was mostly roots infiltration into there, so we just completed that project. I want to say a couple months ago. It was right before the winter. We were able to complete that project. As for, and I know we're working towards looking at using the II inflow and infiltration, you know, examining areas, assessing where we can do more repairs, kind of like that, to reduce the II. And at the same time, those are typically the same locations where you're going to find we have repeated backups and issues, because it's usually roots penetrating the pipes.
So is there a program at all, or
I-
is it just by exception?
The operations manager, I believe he has a plan. I don't know if it's a written plan or just a plan where he has it, the town broken out into sections. He is aware of all the areas, you know, because he handles it day-to-day with the operations and knowing where the guys are going out, where the oldest parts of the system are that we kind of want to focus on, or in this case, where there's like cross-country, where that's where you'd get a lot of the inflow and infiltration work, where we can do some kind of work in the future, hopefully.
Again, the importance of it isn't to stay on top of policies and procedures, it's really trying to say, where are we going to
We're being
spend?
proactive.
Proactive in our, and could you do me a favor and check? To see
Absolutely.
what kind of program it
Oh,
is,
yeah,
and
yeah.
just
Yeah.
send a note to Bill?
Sure.
And just let him know that we're in the process, or still working on it, or?
Yep.
Also back to 2017, and I can't really recall, but there's a sewer assessment line item. So actual in 2016 was 1.5 million, and then we put in 2017 2 million. Now I don't know where what the actual will be for 2017.
What the actual is?
Yeah.
It's up about what we budgeted. We'll get a credit at the end of the year, but we usually don't know what that credit is. What happens is the company that bills us the assessment, they do all of their budgeting and finalize what their net budget is at the end of the year, and then they credit back all the communities that pay into it. So we kind of have to budget the full assessment without knowing what the credit's going to be. And typically that credit will end up falling to the bottom line and go into retained earnings to go towards the next year's budgets. So, and we budget based on what they're telling us the increase is going to be from year to year.
We did hear about increases from the Greater Lawrence Sewer District, that sanitary district, right? Sanitary district. Right.
So your stormwater is, I assume, connected to the sewer lines, right?
I'm sorry.
The stormwater drainage,
No, that's very bad.
it's not connected?
No.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, about 6-7 years ago, we had major flooding, right?
Okay.
How do you, or what have you done to overcome that or to prevent that from happening in future?
So my guess is you're probably talking about like the Mother's Day storm event, which was one of the most catastrophic, I think, in this area. But under engineering, this is actually one of the things that I've taken upon myself. So along with using the GIS and locating all of our infrastructure, we're also updating all the information about the infrastructure with the assistance of one of our consultants. We're actually going to start a pilot program this spring, summer, going out, taking a subset, probably of the older stuff, going out, assessing it. This means culverts, drain manholes, catch basins, that type, assess what needs to be done for repairs, so that we can kind of catalog that and kind of get a plan and a program on how we're going to update that.
It has not been done for so many years, for 6-7 years?
So what's been done is, when we get some indication whether it's, there's an issue with a pipe, we haven't had much issues with pipes. It's more like catch basins collapsing. We'll go out, we'll make those repairs. This is kind of looking at the entire drainage system as a whole, meaning, because we're looking at it for effects to stormwater, meaning
Yes.
what can get in there and what's going to the stormwater. So what we're doing is we're looking at the whole system, taking a subset, developing a program that we can then move forward to not only do repairs and/or replacements, but also address nutrients and other stuff that may be getting into the stormwater and affecting it. So we can look at it as all the watershed and what makes sense, what can we design and put in here to treat. We have some nutrients, phosphorus, nitrogen, elevated levels here, and we also have a culvert that needs to be replaced. So let's replace the culvert, and we'll design the same thing again.
The width of the pipes to take the load of the water, the extra,
Sure.
the capacity to carry water,
Yep.
extra water.
So it's not necessarily the size of the pipe, although sometimes it is, depending on what's changed and what's draining to it. If you have a lot more infrastructure, a lot more impervious, meaning pavement, homes, that type of stuff. Homes, we try to make sure that everyone drains their roofs into the ground, so it's not going on the road into the system. But some of it is maintenance also, similar to the sewer where you get the roots that infiltrate, you get the same type of thing.
But I am concerned, sorry to interrupt,
No,
I'm really
that's okay.
concerned that nothing concrete has been done so far in all these years, and you
Well, and
still are in the process of assessment and,
I can't say. I've only been here 8
Okay,
months, so I
yeah.
can't say that nothing's been done
Yeah.
in the previous years. What I can tell you is I am working on, and especially one of the things is culverts that I'm looking at, assessing all the culverts, developing a culvert replacement program in town. Actually, Sutton Street, the work that's being done right now on Sutton Street is a culvert. Where it's not a full replacement, only because of the permitting would have took an extended period of time. And in this case, a portion of it was an old stone culvert had collapsed. So now we're making a repair, putting in a new pipe, which will carry the flow from upstream to downstream. Actually, I think is it Brook Street? There's also, that's actually my next focus, because it's a metal culvert that's actually rusted and rotted, and now it's starting to impact the roadway. So that's actually my next project that I'm focusing on, looking at, assessing, designing. That one's going to be a significant permitting. Because the other thing with culverts that kind of changed is they changed the regulations. A lot more restrictive on what you have to do with a new culvert. It's no longer, this pipe was a 24-inch, so we're going to put a new 24-inch. Have to be a little more sensitive to the environment.
yes.
So we're putting a box culvert in, we're putting soil on the bottom for the fishies and the bugs and that type of stuff to make it more natural. You want it to blend in addition to handling the stormwater flow. One of the other issues a lot of communities are dealing with, same with us, is the beavers. Beavers building beaver dams, backing water up, creating where there shouldn't be water, it should be flowing downstream, slowly through the pipes. Well, now they're building the beaver dams, which backs it up. So then when we have those big rain events, now it's extending out in flooding areas.
Yes.
So we do have a program where we have a consultant who comes in, the areas where we know we have trouble with beavers, they go and assess them. Again, regulations regarding what you can do with beaver dams is a little restrictive. You can't just knock the whole thing down and walk away. You kind of have to, you have to get the okay. There's a problem here. We're going to go in there. We're going to break a foot down of the dam. Actually, you're supposed to trap the beaver, relocate the beaver, then you can actually lower the dam slowly, is what the state will allow you to do. Again, but that's another issue which is creating all these drainage problems that so again, it wasn't necessarily the downstream pipes that's the issue, it's that it's getting backed upstream by all these beavers. So, but we do have a plan. I was talking with the operations manager about making sure we stay on top of that, and if there's something we can do to alleviate that a little more than what we're currently doing. So I know he's working with our consultant on that.
Thank you.
That might be a good thing to look for in FY19, that if we're the stormwater aspect and if there's any additional
Sure.
need, I guess, both on the consulting side and then eventually on the capital side to
Yep.
fund the improvements.
I know I did put in, granted it's 5 years out, but I put in the CIP for culvert replacement. I gave Bruce a number at that time, anticipating that, recognizing it's 5 years out, hopefully it will come, and we can work on assessing, doing the design. Again, I was specifically thinking of the one that we know we already have an issue where it's starting to impact the travel. Still working with the consultant to assess all the others to develop that program at the same time, though.
Plan, prioritizing the various, we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, and G projects. We know from the survey that they
Yep.
all need something. And then we'll just schedule it out like the usual capital. Yeah,
Yep,
well, that would make a lot of
prioritize them. And
sense.
Again, I already know this one we're going to have to do, so that's the one I kind of put money in for, 5 years out, and then develop that plan and prioritize.
That sounds good, rather than just driving to the latest collapse.
Absolutely, yeah, we
right.
definitely, and this was one thing Bruce wanted to try and be proactive on. He was concerned about this, and when I got on board, he said, this is something I want us to take forward, so.
Okay, anything else on sewer? All right, I think that does it. Great, so we thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to appear before us. And
Yeah, no problem.
best of luck, and
Thank you.
anything you need, just give us a call.
Absolutely. I
Except for
will,
plowing.
No more snow.
yes, rain, all rain.
Prediction, actually, not of snow, but winter storm sometime.
No snow would be good.
Yes, I
Keeping
agree.
fingers
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the sections of the FinCom report, which is our, our warrant letter, or report of the FinCom. I think it's got different names. So what I put here, the little table is, as of what I could dig up from last year, this is kind of who did what last year. So it's maybe a two-part discussion. One is we could say, is there anything we want to change about the letter? If we want to keep the same basic subheadings and the same sort of process whereby everybody takes a section, we put it all together, and then we kind of group edit it. So I guess that would be the first topic of discussion, anything we want to change with the sections, and then the second could be kind of who's going to do which sections. So,
Has she seen the old letter?
yeah, we've sent the old letter around. If, if we want to, we could pull it up, too.
Well, no, just for hers, for your sake. We have
It's in the warrant letter. It's in the,
Yeah,
it's
do I
in the
have that
previous year
book?
warrant. I don't have that with me tonight.
Okay.
But I can
No, we
pull it
can,
up.
we can send it to her. So it's a multi-page summary of, yeah, and I don't have it, I'm sorry. It's a multi-page summary that we write that goes pretty much in the front of the book. That's given out at town
You
meeting.
sent me the email, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so, just so you know.
Well, I like the process.
I liked it too,
Last 2 years,
being
you know,
thoroughly
we went
edited.
through, the first year was a bit painful, but then the second year,
I think we just, and last year we said, let's add more visuals as much as we could, so I think as long as we stick to that, I think the format was great.
and I wouldn't mind to keep my section now, I know where to look and what to do, and don't have to start, reinventing again. So I'd like to keep my section, if possible.
Flip mine from contracts to enterprise funds if possible.
So do you do on Google Share Drive so that if somebody,
Yes, the Google Drive that we're on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think.
Hey, you guys
yeah,
are
we-
all good. What?
Oh, no, I'm
Doesn't
just saying,
happen?
it's a challenge. We should really have a training session, just because, like me, I'm very used to working in Microsoft Word, but not at all. And I understand how to track changes in Microsoft Word, but Google Docs is just different, and so, I'm used to kind of download something, change it,
Yes.
and then re-upload it, as
Yes.
opposed to, Google Docs is more like it's a living document, and when you change it,
It's
here,
done.
when you change it, it's changed, yeah.
Chairman, may I make a suggestion?
Yes.
So you have a process, we create a process step by step about how we get it into Google Docs, because I think each of us have our own sections, and we
Right.
pass it around, and I don't know, personally, I'm kind of concerned about what I wrote being disappeared.
Because of last year. This is something that I can.
You disappeared?
Sure.
Are you asking that we take the old letter from last year, load it up into a place that we all share, and then have a policy for when we update something to
Something,
save as versus save?
change management, control management,
Yeah.
configuration management, that is the word.
Okay, the only issue with that is when you go to open the document, you're going to have to save as first, and then go ahead and make changes to the new version, because nobody will know you have it checked out. Do you follow? There's no checkout policy in Google.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it just,
Does that address?
I just want to make sure we all
You
are
don't
on the
lose,
same page.
yeah, last year
of-
was,
That we have process that we keep, it is configuration or change management kind of thing, and document
Right, 'cause we
management.
started out working on a Word document that would be revised, and then we switched to Google Docs, and the difference is that a Google Docs, document has different properties and different ways of.
well, do you want to track
things.
changes? I'm not a big, I think I would say each person can change their own section, and then when we get into the editing phase, we don't
Yeah.
have,
Maybe, you know what, just put asterisks and add the missing pieces, so the person who is basically handling the topic can basically add those and compile and make a new one. So we do not make changes to the topic, but if.
well, each of you, you don't change anybody else's topic
Yes,
but your
exactly,
own.
yeah.
Okay.
But if we need to add more information, we can just put that instead of changing in the main content.
I don't.
I think there's
know.
two parts to it, because it's a two-part process. There's an independent part where we each go out and do our own thing,
section.
right?
And
So
then
I
there's
think,
the overall
I
edit.
think we could say that until such and such date, when we first review the letter, it's basically just work on your section, and we just have to figure that out. Maybe we can take some time next week and we can upload last year's letter.
I'll take care of
and then try to
I'll show it next.
see how it works.
Yeah.
This is what happens when I go into my section and I start changing things. This is how it's going to look. And I think we can all be fine and just work on the honor system of, we'll work on our own sections until we get to the copy editing, till we get to the group editing stage at the end where we read it.
That's where we got into
Yes.
trouble last time, was the overall group editing for the entire document.
Right, I also too think that that's deliberately a lengthier
Right.
process than it should be. Where we're all just, everyone has a voice and how they want to see a word here and there, and then that's part of negotiation and debate.
Right.
It's good.
Yeah,
And
but
that's-
and the
those are
hard
the-
part is you're also, it's easy when we're all in the room, but if you're reading through the whole thing and trying to edit
where you
it,
get
that's where you get, when you have 6 people copy editing the same document, that's where you get into trouble. So we should figure out, I guess, the two-stage process.
How about we'll start next week with just how to use Google, what it looks like,
Right.
where it's located and everything, because the editing of the entire won't come till later. So
Right.
let's tackle that first, and then we'll come back to the editing.
Okay.
And now, municipal contracts, you just said you want to go to enterprise, so who will take community contracts?
What new
I'm not moving from
contracts
school.
are been negotiated this year, negotiating into
On the
2018?
website, they're all the contracts.
Yeah,
They're all there.
I was hoping you had something in.
Like I said, I believe it's police and fire that are going to be up this year.
Yeah.
Well, that
I'm not
isn't-
sure on
I
the
can
school
send a
side,
note.
But they are all right on the front, on the webpage.
I think-
On contracts, and it lists all the contracts on there.
Yeah. I think Ray has a list. I'll email
I
Ray.
do. I actually, he gave me a list. I just updated for the OS statement for the borrowing, so I can actually go grab it if you want.
Okay.
You kidding? Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Process, remind me what that section
So the
said.
process one, what we normally say is we start out by saying, this is what the finance committee does. And we also do an intro, we usually talk about sort of macroeconomic trends, like, we'll say, this is what the finance committee does, this is the climate we find ourselves in, so you, like, big picture.
I
This
feel
is-
like that should be you.
and then the process is, this is how we go through the budget.
Well, that's what I'm saying, does that change? You have it
No, that
open-
doesn't really change.
Okay, so that's
More or
my
less
point
the
is,
same thing.
can that
Yeah.
just be, okay.
I could just,
You
yeah.
have it open, and I'm saying, what name would you go in there? We're not changing it.
That's copy paste.
Thank you, okay.
Okay.
All right, and the conclusion, the thanks and department heads, is that also a copy and paste? Or are we specific in that section? I don't remember.
No, that was a brand-new section last year. Bill took it on. I think the tone of it is exactly the same. We probably have a couple sentences in there that we, like, thanks to Bill, to,
But nothing specific, no formal opinion in that section?
thanks to Bruce Thibodeau, rather.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Other
Yeah.
than that, though, and again, last meeting's presentation by the senior elder services
Right.
and the
But
library
yeah,
was
we usually-
great.
I think we just got to you just want to be careful to make sure you have all the names. Somebody has to quality control it, just to say all the names, and
Yes, I was
then
gonna
you
say
recognize
changes.
significant departures and additions and so forth, because we
Yeah.
got 2 new chiefs and retirement of the Public Works Director, although we might have mentioned, we didn't mention that last year because he hadn't announced his retirement yet. so.
Can we just get a list of everybody who retired and was added?
Yeah, that's not,
From
so
right?
it's, yeah, you're right, it's not a hard section, it's not a lot of heavy lifting, it's just doing it.
Can we manage to have our names printed at the end of the letter this year?
Oh, I can put that in there.
Sure.
As if we had our
It was-
John
they-
Hancock and our names? Is that what you want?
Well, at least the names, because the letter was submitted last year with no names on it.
Okay.
Really?
Really?
I don't think we've ever put the names in, have we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There've been
Oh,
prior
yeah.
ones.
Really?
Okay,
Absolutely.
so I will copy the 2016.
So there were some years
I will add all of our
we put
in
names at the
end.
bottom of the letter, and other years we didn't.
Add our,
Yeah.
Last year might have been the first one.
Yeah, it might have been the first one. I'm
But I don't
thinking,
remember,
okay,
I
who
thought
wrote
we
this?
used the exact same
Right.
document,
N-
but they always list our names somewhere in the warrant. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but-
Liz, your name.
yeah, you can.
okay,
Yeah,
I will
it's
do
never
that
changed.
right for the very first draft.
Okay,
You
thank
can
you.
always remove it. Okay. All right. So are you going to ask Ray for the list of retirees, or do you want me to? Again, I can do that. That's nothing,
Yeah, sure.
okay.
So how do we get our 2 new members on the list?
Well, that's what I'm trying to think. I would like, if I could, please, because last year you edited me a lot, and that's fine. Sasha to help me with school.
That's a good one.
She seems very passionate about schools, unless you'd like to, I'm totally
That's
fine.
all right. That's
I feel that
absolutely-
coming out of her.
No, that's absolutely all
I
right.
know it comes out of you guys too, but,
Can I get an assistant too?
that's not an assistant, you know she's gonna hold my knee.
And then, I know
Divya, do you have?
Karen,
any-
your-
Yeah.
your section is
Oh,
a
you can
good
have it
section,
printed
and
off.
I forget, I don't know that it's
We-
been
we-
5 up and 5 down every year, or
Yeah,
how
but
it's
you know,
done
if
it.
there aren't 5, then there are 3, or if there might be 6, or, you know, whatever it is, it gets modified, right? So, you there?
These are the contracts,
Yeah.
when they're up.
Okay. I'll copy this into
The school.
that municipal contracts section, so we have it in there.
So what, who did process? I think we went there before.
Bill's going to do it again.
We just
Bill's
said we were
gonna
going to
do it
do
again.
a cut and paste, because the process is
Oh,
the
okay.
same.
All right, well, gee,
That's why, Divya, do you have any,
I can just maybe,
she-
when you are, yeah, go ahead.
would you like to work with me on the 5 up and 5 down?
Sure,
pretty
5
big.
up and 5 down.
I mean, what, we could kind of do that, maybe, and if that isn't enough, we could probably manage to cut and paste this contracts thing in there.
well, I'm going to do that
Oh,
for
you're
the
gonna do
muni
that. Okay,
contract
all right.
section, and then, so
okay.
then you can copy and paste it up from there.
Oh,
You know what I
okay,
mean?
so, I mean,
Just
so-
let me know, any of you here needs any help, just let me know, and I can
Okay.
just,
yeah, well, we'll work on that. Is that okay? Because
That's fine, just let me know.
You just go through the whole thing. I
You
think it's
bobble back and forth.
you-
okay,
Right.
that's fine.
And then, are we doing unions also? Who's doing unions?
There's no
There's
section. of
nothing to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll take that off.
It's all in
there.
contracts.
Okay, I think you're going to enjoy that. Well, we'll see.
Sure.
We might end up killing each other.
No, we'll learn a lot.
That is a
Learn
sorry
a lot.
something.
Okay.
FinCom kill.
Okay, so by next week I will be prepped. Letter will be drafted with extra, yeah, we'll be good.
Okay.
Okay. And Liz has all the charts and everything for the,
She's good enough.
She's got
Yeah.
that down like,
Yeah, she does.
because I would say I am completely happy with everything in this budget except OPEB. I'd like to see more money in OPEB. That's the only
such a
thing,
big liability.
you know, while we have the wind in our backs. 'Cause it's not always going to be at our backs.
It's not always going to be, can we, no.
So, but that's,
Debating about talking.
but at any rate,
Down to-
otherwise I think it's very easy.
So when do we come with the first draft?
So,
Well, you can't by next week, because I'm going to do the first. I'm just going
Right.
to copy and paste the old one, put in sections, names of who's doing it, and show you guys next week.
Right.
So
and we really can't write it till we have the hearings either. So,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
we're going to go through all the hearings and get more information about different things as we
When do we
go.
actually start? I forgot last year, Phil.
So
April?
people usually start, I mean, like some sections, like
Like the fixed sections.
we're already done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we could really be, when you look at it really, like, we could be done, you know, section 2 is pretty much done, right?
Yeah.
Section 6 is, the CIP is done, you know, in a sense that we've already voted on it, so we don't have a lot of, there's not a lot of debate about that anymore. The other sections, you know, you have kind of the outline.
Yeah.
But normally, we're, you know, thinking back to the calendar, and I don't have it in front of me, but thinking back to the,
We're ahead of it. With
is that the
this.
calendar? Okay.
Yeah.
So, thanks. So, you know, basically, you know, we're voting, you know, we can be working along in different sections as we go, and then we're voting on April 3rd. So I really think, you know, by April 3rd, everyone should have something in there. We should have a draft done, and
Each
then
section should be done by April 3rd.
each section should be roughly done by April 3rd. You know, obviously, if there's new information or different things, we'll have to do that. You know, we may, the other thing that, and this is just in context of the letter, you know, that the zoning article perhaps on Osgood Landing and the potential marijuana production facility. If we are asked to weigh in with a recommendation on that, we might have to talk to the people involved and figure out the financial implications, because there's like a host community agreement and so forth. So that might be something, that's like an unexpected thing that could come up
Well, it might be,
in the warrant.
you know, have some federal issues.
Yeah, I know. True. But, you know, certainly something can happen. But then April, usually between the 3rd and the 13th, we should be able to get that done.
What's happening with the Osgood Landing? They were on a tax holiday, right? They had a big tax holiday.
No,
That's over.
yeah.
That's over?
Was it tax abatement?
Yeah.
I think that stopped
Yeah,
2
that's
years
a
ago
while
or so.
ago. Yeah.
So we're paying taxes, I know that.
D, or rather, Agenda C.
So, I put the agenda out early, just before I left for vacation, and,
Okay, so we were just.
so they are going to talk to us, the school department. Jim had talked about coming in, and I said, well, I'll put you on the agenda, you can tell me when you're going to come. He's going to come on the 7th, when they're here anyway,
Do we
so.
have a printout of the budget for school?
No, we don't.
So
When do we
will
get
we
that?
get that before next week? It would be nice to
Well, I
have
mean,
it a
it's,
couple of
yeah,
days.
it's public, it's up on the website.
Oh, the
So I'm happy to
latest
send
version is
the,
on the website?
I'm happy to send the link around.
It's the plus version.
That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to know. I know I
Yeah.
missed the meeting, so,
Yeah,
okay.
it's just been-
That's fine, I don't need to get a copy.
Yeah.
I can handle this after.
So it was approved pretty much as is, right? Or is it revised?
So
Yeah.
is that done in hard copy anywhere?
No, I mean, we could certainly ask Angela if we want some hard copies. We could email the link around and
Why don't I
print
just,
it out.
I'll email it to all of you because it
I'd
gives
like
me
a hard copy.
accountable.
I prefer hard copy too, because it's easier
It's
to
e-
compare
it's easier,
and.
that electronic.
I don't know what
Yes.
to do without these little tabs that
Before
I put
next
on
week?
stuff.
Yeah,
It's really
I
hard
mean,
to
I don't
do
think
that.
they bound, I think the only difference is they don't bind and print
I
theirs
could
as a
care
matter
less
of
if
course.
it's bound, but what did you just say, Angela?
Are you talking about getting the letter?
No, the
No.
school budget
The school budget? Oh.
printed before next meeting.
In the meantime, go online.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will find the link and send it to all of you because that helps me.
So if it's printed before next meeting, that mean we would come by and pick it up, or would you send it to us, or
We
what?
don't have enough time, it's next
We don't have the
Tuesday.
time, it's next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so those of us
So you
who
gotta go
want to have the hard
electronic.
copy? No, I
Right.
can't put these little pads on it.
Oh, that's right.
So Jen, what you do, could you email us as, not, I know where it is, but just as a reminder?
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
It's more of a reminder.
Yeah, absolutely, no.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I would say, just to follow all the way through, sorry, if we should, you know, maybe when you send it around, you should decide this is the budget document we should review. Because she does have a lot of materials, like, I've read through the entire section, so there were all sorts of different presentations, and et cetera, et
I
cetera.
was going to send it to you first anyway,
So-
because I will probably not pick the right document.
So I just think it doesn't matter, I think all the documents are right, I think we should just pick the one and communicate to Angela if we want it printed, and also communicate to Dr. Price and Jim, and what we're going to focus on, so that they have the right talk track.
What do you mean, what they're going to focus on? The budget, I'm confused. Sorry.
So what I'm saying is, they have a bunch of materials on the budget. When you go to her page, she has a whole list of different budget presentations that she's made and different formats of the budget. And
Okay.
some of them are very, not user-friendly. Like the one done for the state has all sorts of tables and so forth, and it's just not very useful in terms of a explanation. So what we need to do is just,
Sieve through it.
we just need to figure out, this is the presentation that we want to review.
Are we comfortable with me picking one, sending it to you, you telling me it is or isn't the right one?
Yeah.
Okay? Because he's
Yeah.
already looked and read.
Right.
And then whatever we decide, that's what will get emailed to all of you.
Right.
And to Dr. Price to say,
Say,
this is the one we're going to
this is the
focus
one we're
on.
gonna focus
And
on.
to you, to print.
Print, if, for anybody who wants to come by
Except for her,
and
who's
get it.
already going to print and tab.
I like that.
I don't blame
We're all on
you.
the same page. I do encourage, though, to sort of scan the other material.
Yeah.
Because there are tidbits in there of information about what's going on behind the scenes, so.
Right. No, I think it's good. I think we just got to figure out what gets us the most bang for the buck, and it's usually like a PowerPoint versus, the DESI format is very, like I said, undecipherable in terms of what's happening with the budget.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want her to print it out so you can come pick it up?
Whatever we decide on.
Let's see how many
Yes,
pages.
oh,
Why don't we see
absolutely.
how many pages?
Yeah.
And then we each put our personal,
But as soon as I get it,
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
or I might say to you, don't print the tree for me because I'll print it at home.
Yeah.
And kill the tree man right
I'm not in on Friday, so.
Okay. All right, we'll do it quickly. We can do it quickly. Okay, and then I would say upcoming dates. So next week, we meet with the school department, at the school department. The dates are flip-flop. The CPC community public hearing is on March 9th, which is always interesting. I haven't scheduled them yet to come in, if they are schedulable. So, that might be a good one to tape or send a representative to get a report.
there. I passed talent show for a child,
Yeah,
YouTube.
okay. And that's,
Is it time for a motion?
yes,
The school administration building, right?
okay.
I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Turn the